Sorry, if I keep that as well the whole video, I'm gonna freak out. Let me swap it to concrete. I'll be right back. Just wait right there. Minecraft, the culture phenom, gaming's classic darling. If you don't know Minecraft, you're lying. I know you are. You clicked on this video, for God's sake. Stop lying to me. Good old Mints of Raft has been a presence in the cultural zeitgeist for almost its entire runtime. It has some lulls in its popularity throughout its history, but it's always followed up by another upswing. Maybe you saw some new funky way to play from a YouTube video, or maybe the most recent update gave a bunch of interesting content. There are a lot of ways for you and your boys to get hooked back in for another 2-week Minecraft phase. Today's video is not going to be too interested in the YouTube side of how Minecraft has evolved. That's its own beast of intrigue and story and hilarious out of context clips.
For the first time ever in 2B2T history, slave labor.
Though there is one factor that is relevant to what I'm talking about today. If you were to peruse the current Minecraft content landscape, you can probably see at least a few small people choosing to play older versions of Minecraft compared to the latest one. And this is no performative, Gen 1 or 4 Pokemon is the best while they've only played it one time in their childhood and are just recollecting it. These are people who are actively playing beta Minecraft over anything of modern Minecraft. I suppose it's becoming important to mention this now that Minecraft is upsettingly old, Jesus fucking Christ. By now there are at least a few Minecraft updates that are considered divisive enough to be era shifts. There'll be overhauls of systems or large progression changing additions that are often people's candidates for their definition of when Minecraft was old and when Minecraft is new. I'll prefer going with a more classical choice, and it's really the one point where I feel like Minecraft decided to become a different game than what it was, and that period is the 1.8 Adventure update to full release window, roughly, that small brick of time. If we jump to before that time period, we can find the basis of this iconic survival game. One birthed from weird initial experimentations of an indie developer that would receive refinement from update after update to create a simplistic yet addictive gameplay loop. I hear people have the same arguments about versions all the time, from all the way back to my most consistent activity during releases 1.2 and 1.4, all the way up till now, and that's actually for a good reason, because most of those points are still, poignant. Old Minecraft is much lower to the ground in scope compared to what we have today, and its less detailed systems and progression give accomplishments a lot more weight. There's not much a player can do to affect their performance or abilities to interact with the world. You'll mostly just have mining, crafting, and building structures as your only interfaces. And that may seem obvious to say, but that's kind of the draw, is that it's so obvious. Progression is kept simple on the surface, and the core loop remains consistent the whole way up the progression ladder. Grab the resource of your current tier, craft the tools, get the next resource up, perform the exact same thing with the new stuff. So simple and easy to understand for a tangible and satisfying payout. Mining from the very beginning is established as the main way for you to advance your game state. Are you sick of seeing monsters, or you can't see anything because there's no brightness options in the game? Get coal and make some torches. Want to get some more tools for terraforming the land and improve your base tools performance even more? Smelt your iron in a furnace? Upgrade. Each tier of upgrade is significant enough to feel, letting your efficiency get better and better and letting you acquire new ores, and eventually hit that high that every player wishes they could do again for the first time. You strike your first vein of diamonds. These blue beauties are few and far between, but the diamond tool itself lasts a lifetime. You're definitely getting some more before that thing breaks. And these things are strong. They're so strong, they don't even really open many crafting recipes. Instead, they opt to let you break a block so durable and mysterious they can be used to rip a portal into hell. That's metal.
You're actually gonna find that it's gemstone?
At this point, progression is over. You're maxed out. There's plenty of experiences and novelties to do, but in terms of improvement, you are now as capable as you can be, functionally speaking. It's not that hard to even reach this point of power. It's a lot of busy work, sure, but if you're a person whose drive to play a game is derived from game-provided goals, you hit the ceiling of things to do pretty fast, all things considered. But for other types of players, like those who accumulate valuables, those who make projects or builds that require extensive work, or just those who want to shoot the shit with their pals, this lack of direction makes this era shine as a sandbox survival game. In this era, one piece
What did he just say?
of ore is one unit of that mineral. Your 100th diamond is just as hard earned as the first one, so when you see that kid with the mineral house, everyone makes one. You can go to the Minecraft wiki and there's pictures of people doing it way back when. Assuming they didn't cheat that stuff in, that's actually kind of impressive to build. The limited palettes of available blocks and the accessibility to some arbitrary ones impose limitations on builders and give status to otherwise pointless items. Talented builders of olden days still create breathtaking things that are influenced by Minecraft's art direction. Maybe they even enjoy the more difficult process of collecting and working with limited resources without creative mode. But do you see my house right here? Mossy cobblestone floors, a brick chimney, and a diamond chandelier, baby. To a modern hypebeast, I am Louis Vuitton. Except maybe without his whole,
slave labor.
I can't help but think old Minecraft builds, maybe partially due to the primitive lighting system, can't help but have this homey, but slightly off-putting energy to them. I don't have an artsy background, but the weird way light fills rooms and the stark white of all light sources on the pitch black nights that are drowned with fog means the texture of blocks are what provide color to the world. So you get mostly grays, browns, dark greens, and some occasional splashes of color and intriguing texture from mainly man-made and collected blocks. It lends itself to a actually pretty spooky atmosphere, whereas the blues of later Minecraft versions for the night times feel more mysterious in a fantasy sense. Like in today's game, the night can be scary because of all the lore and evil creatures that fester in the recesses of the earth. Beta Minecraft is empty. At least I'm pretty sure it is. Now, I've already given what I consider a sufficient synopsis for why pre-release Minecraft versions are still enjoyable today, and this last bit I go over, while important and still containing truth of its time, is greatly colored by my nostalgia. Objectivity is kind of hard to apply to this specific thing. But I think I'm not alone when I say pre-release multiplayer has this weird, unique charm to it. And I truly believe that the Xbox 360 edition of Minecraft made a bigger splash with the world at large because it started in a weird morphed state of the betas. Getting a little ahead of myself, for the completely uninitiated, Minecraft, when bought by Microsoft, had a version released specifically for the Xbox 360, and the feature set rested somewhere in the beta 1.3 to 1.5 timeframe. It's a very bare bones, but still complete Minecraft experience. Now, I'm sure these versions were fun to play when Java was on them. I was too young to be there for that. But being on the Xbox, I imagine gave them an X factor that wasn't present back in the times of port forwarding. Because the Xbox 360 had easy multiplayer, split-screen co-op, and hassle-free online connection between friends. This revolution felt like Minecraft was going to hit a huge reset. We were in auxiliary content of fan-made mod reviews and adventure maps to what started it all from the very beginning in the alphas. Here's a survival world, me and my friend shoot the shit, and we do random stuff. I think it's really hard to approach this with a different description than what a lot of people use for sandbox games already, so I'll just stick with it. Think of this version of Minecraft like a box of mishmash Legos versus getting a themed Lego set. Both of these have the makings to do the exact same things. You can grab whatever bricks you want from either and make the kill fucker or whatever you're trying to make. But approaching a Lego bin versus buying a whole new set sets expectations in your brain. An assorted Lego bin is much more apt in representing the aimless but infinite potential of an early beta Minecraft world. You would make up goals or mess with your friends for the sole purpose of wanting to do that, and the game world was often the fuel or the guidance for that chaos, offering just enough form to remain a game without being incoherent. The bin of Legos itself is the activity, a simple thing with imaginative possibilities that you can engage with your friends, but if you don't like the thought of putting Legos together in the first place, there's not going to be much here for you. The actual survival game and combat systems of old beta Minecraft are, surprisingly for a beta, underbaked at this period of time. I recall the general sentiment I've seen online is that older versions of Minecraft are more difficult than modern versions because modern has so much more technology by comparison, but I still really just don't buy that. I would say that old school, in the most generous approximation, is unforgiving. There's no health regen without resources, so if you're just starting out, any damage you take can't be undone. You're just sitting there with missing hearts like you're the asshole who wanted that. You pair that system with jank like spider hitboxes being really weird and skeletons spawning arrows in a really weird way, and the early game has you facing things that take your health away in frustrating ways with no way of recovering from it. But this early game I describe is incredibly early, because every food source you can get your hands on instantly heals you on usage, a greater deal if the food itself can be cooked. If you can number switch even remotely well with a good hotbar of food, you can now always instantly heal up in any situation. That's not even considering all of the weird options. You have machine gun firing bows that you can get with ammo to spare due to zombies dropping feathers in these versions. Armor of all grades technically protecting the same amount of damage since it's tied to durability, and monster AI consisting almost entirely of either walk at the player and maybe circle strafe when they're close. I would keep the game off of peaceful at this point because the mobs give useful items. Otherwise, they're just adding some minor thrills at best and busy work at their every other time. Before we move on, have you ever wanted your YouTube video to segue into an ad for a terrible product that you don't want to buy? Well, me too, except you don't gotta pay nothing for this one. Here's Bung The Fox on my itch.io page, a game where you play as The Bung, and you play minigames with your friends at The Camp. It's free to download and not very long, or very good for that matter. Check out the link in the description if you want to try it out. I hope it puts a smile on your face if you do end up doing it, and if it didn't, I guess you can hit that subscribe button. Ding ding! Leave a mean comment, tell me what I did wrong. I'll wait. Thank you. I hope it comes as no surprise, but a good decade of updates changes a lot of things. This survival game has become much more adventure-oriented. The worlds are packed with pre-generated structures with lore, purpose, sometimes, loot, and intrigue. You as a player stand to get a lot of value much faster than Days of Yonder if you're willing to explore and brave more treacherous paths. Progression has largely been evolving to focus on exploration as well, no better symbolized by netherite. The first introduction of the new material was admittedly bland, largely just giving another purpose to gold and challenging the player to try mining in the nether, but as time progressed, Mojang made the excellent decision to rework obtaining those tools, now requiring a rare piece of treasure from an otherwise optional structure in the nether, furthering the reward for players taking on more dangerous endeavors. The power scaling, much like any other multiplayer game alive for a long period, has gone completely off the rails. With additions to almost all tiers of progression and a widened timeline of offered content, an endgame build in Modern is practically a Lovecraftian monster compared to the beta version endgame. The higher level of technology present in the actual game and in its back-end commands allows for servers to do bigger and better things as well. Large networks of servers offer game modes that can manipulate game rules into the semblance of basically any game genre you can dream of. To our analogy, we get so many more types of Legos into our bin. We have more choices than ever, but also much more than ever, we perceive Minecraft like we do themed sets of Legos. The fans of a certain medium buy the Lego set that appeals to them, build that set, and then limits their engagement to that set. Bed Wars, SMP servers, speedrunning, MMO servers, the flavor of ADHD is your choice to pick from, honestly. Offered challenges and pre-generated content offer direction to players who don't innately experiment given an open environment, those who really want a point B to anchor their focus and give their time meaning. It could be that these players bounced off of old Minecraft since there's quote-unquote nothing to do, but can consider coming back due to this paradigm shift in design. I think we get the best of both worlds with how things work out. New adventure content can give treasure loot for the players wanting adventure, and new settings with diverse blocks keep the builders experimenting with an already tried and true system. Ideally, this is all great. Everyone's happy. Well, at least they should be happy. Turns out when you actually try to execute this, there's a fair bit of problems that come up. There is endless debate on whether Mojang is providing adequate content for the game to appeal to all players at a acceptable pace, which I really felt pick up in sentiment when the massive Caves and Cliffs update was split into two separate parts. My grand epic take on this discourse and the evil woke Mojang dooming this dead game? I don't fucking care. Update the game when you can. I don't think most people actively involved in talking about this kind of stuff are evaluating the full picture and the nuances of what's going on. It becomes an entirely different issue, more concerned with the livelihood of live service games rather than design intent of a video game. Just please play something else while you wait for updates. It's not that big a deal. What I think is actually relevant to point out as a result of this constant march of content is that the original experience has been transmuted. It still exists, but it's been completely reshaped by all the new additions. The lower tech available in the beta versions implicitly adds satisfaction to tasks that can't be made redundantly easy. Mining will always be laborious and time-consuming. You need to build railroads or nether highways to travel long distances fast, and these problems may get marginally easier to solve with the higher-end tools, but they'll always need time and attention in some significant way. Modern tech offerings, in contrast, provide great benefit to you planning. Getting diamonds before was as simple as see a diamond, mine a diamond, but if you really know ball now, you know that you need to get exactly 5 diamonds, 3 for the pick and 2 for the enchanting table, and then ignore the remaining diamond ores until you get Fortune 3, which can triple the number of diamonds you receive at times. The game's become chock full of these small moments of reaching around the tech tree to maximize value and get stronger much faster than the original way, complicating the immediate payoff a bit, but rewarding those knowledgeable players with an enormous advantage. An endgame player with the proper know-how can use one set of high power and self-repairing armor indefinitely, fly across their world at incredibly high speeds, have multiple lives at the ready in their hands, and those are only some of the perks possible. Survival Minecraft, with this endgame in sight, starts to get a vague semblance to Factorio or Terraria. You get some kind of Factoraria, if you'd let me say that. There is a game to be played here. You build at least some of the structures just for farming an item or some other functionality. You use the fruits of your work to prepare and embark on pre-structured adventures or accomplish specific goals. You will go from the funny square dude running around like a caveman to a creator god with an infinite supply of valuables, spoils of all the amazing adventures you conquered, and world wonders that will leave any onlooker in awe. Which, hey, where Modern's gotten to be now, this is a pretty good experience, all things considered. There is no shortage of things to do and collect in Modern, and it makes playing with a group of friends and sharing massive progression moments with each other feel like actual achievements. It's much less reliant on the theater of mind to make activities and structures matter to people. You get to make real and substantial differences to your abilities and to your world in a way that actually mechanically satisfies. I think at the very least it is pretty clear that Microsoft-led Mojang does not have their full energy devoted towards embodying this school of design to the maximum. Note that I say energy since the past couple April Fool's updates prove that Mojang has all the talent needed to accomplish big sweeping updates that people say they're too lazy to, but anything from corporate strategy, bloated update verification processes, or underlying architectural software problems can easily get in the way. Now, I like progressively accumulating wealth and going on crazy adventures as much as the next guy, but I've always been a fan of the more inconsequential additions to the game that have gotten more frequent in the past year or so. I'm talking things like armor trims, music discs, axolotl colors, and the sniffer, things that are pretty controversial to people asking for hardcore progression content updates, but I think they add some necessary texture and irregularity compared to rushing down the dragon for the elytra. In short, while the philosophy change puts the game under short-term scrutiny, I think the passage of time has been quite good for Minecraft's health. If you're going to have a game last this long in the cultural zeitgeist, it's entirely expected for it to undergo big changes and potentially lose the luster of its original releases. Old School is greater than the sum of its parts, a solid foundation of mechanics that offers opportunity for creativity as the community's collective mind fills in the gaps of an unfinished game with their own imagination and purpose. Modern expands the baseline into a fantasy survival game with depth and mystery, paired with such a creative potential that in some cases Minecraft isn't just a game, but the backdrop for a whole world of experiences that you may prefer naming over the game it's been built on. They're both definitely different things, but I think both of them are good for their own reasons. Minecraft has always been a fun game at the very least, and I think we often get caught up in the opinions of people who have been playing this game for its entire lifespan, a majority of which I feel focus on what they would consider the best edition of Minecraft, some enormous shakeup of the formula to freshen things up to the point they can experience that sense of novelty they had first time playing, which is really not realistic in my mind. I've mentioned prior that large content updates for the game can end up being very controversial for a number of different reasons. I think all the common culprits for worst update ever probably felt justified in the scope of their initial releases, but in the grand scheme of things provided much needed content and change to the experience. Blah blah passage of time, blah blah necessary change. But I think if I'm really going through with my thought process of Minecraft's design philosophy directing its quality, I would propose that the worst Minecraft update / time period is likely Adventure Update to full release, and maybe everything before the Microsoft buyout. Feels weird thinking that, considering my first period of fixation with the game was during versions 1.0 to 1.4-ish, and that's probably because, again, Minecraft wasn't suddenly a bad game during this time. We were seeing the inklings of some of the most important mechanics being implemented and refined. The Nether finally received so much needed love, and a new dimension and an ending to the game was added. Except, I think the ending is the problem. The Ender Dragon in this incarnation serves as the first actual progression goalpost introduced for Modern's adventure-based design. The fight is meant to be a payoff for a handful of the content introduced in 1.8 and 1.9 that originally served less or no purpose on release. I say it's a pretty welcome change of pace from the pre-structured generations from before, where things like a mob spawner just give you some items and blocks and are more so there for giving the world texture. Strongholds and nether fortresses would eventually get those tie-ins to this Ender Dragon fight that give them more of a progression purpose. It makes these buildings feel more significant and foreboding, all really good stuff, without even mentioning how other aspects of these structures were being interwoven with the new systems like enchanting and potion brewing. So what's the problem? The game is evolving properly into its adventure focus. What's there to actually complain about? You remember how I said Modern's philosophy change could bring in the crowd of people that bounced off old school from there being quote-unquote nothing to do? Well, now there's something to do. Something cool, something that can test your fancy enchanted diamond armor and tools, something that calls you and your friends to adventure. You'll embark on a quest to obtain blaze rods and ender pearls from otherworldly monsters, hunt down the stronghold, and enter this alien dimension. With perseverance, you take down a mighty dragon, stealing its egg, and you are showered with experience. You've won! Now, with the mysterious portal open, you jump forth, watch the credits, and you spawn back in your bed. That's the end of progression. There's nothing more to do. You're back to just playing survival Minecraft. Those players that rely on adventure to give them direction are done with the game, pretty much. They don't have anything else to drive them at this point. Nothing prevents anyone from continuing to play the game past the credit screen and treat the experience the same as before, but having a real mechanical goal built into the game gives the player a logical drop-off point to stop playing once their world or server has that goal accomplished. We all have those friends who used to join for the new Minecraft server, beat the Ender Dragon in a day or two, and then leave never to be seen again. You know who you are. This problem intrigues me, not as an explicit inhibitor that detracts from the experience, but as a side effect of the order of development. It would be a very long time before the End Dimension would receive any kind of added content, so the overworld would continue to develop and get more things to do that didn't concern the end at all. It became this weird pocket that was out of the way, but for some reason contained credits and a feeling of finality to a sandbox game. It's such a vibe problem that I can't really point to where Modern turns the corner and starts shaking it off. Maybe it was just getting a good layer of additional content, filling in the cracks, and completing this design paradigm shift. Maybe I'm just making shit up and no one ever had this feeling with Minecraft at all. I can't really say. Like many others, I've been playing Minecraft on and off for a decade of my life, and maybe I just can't suspend that experience and evaluate the game fairly in a vacuum. And that's fine, but maybe some more fresh perspectives can give a more rounded view of everything. I really love watching people who have never interfaced with Minecraft start up their first world and try learning how to play. I love thinking back to the first experiences of friends I introduced to it all and seeing everyone parse things in their own way but with a lot of commonality. You probably know what I'm talking about. I don't care who you are, when you were new to this game, you at least buried yourself or built a dirt shack the first night, you struggled with the crafting menu, you dug straight down one time and fell into lava, you got blown up by a creeper at your house and your chests went all over the place. You have some canonical moments that everyone's gone through. There's a great deal of joy in sharing something you're so deeply familiar with to a newcomer and feeling that sense of familiarity with their experience as you witness it happening. And I think it's the best way for people stuck on things like where Minecraft needs to be, or what it fails to accomplish, or how fast things need to change, to remember why we even care as much about this game specifically as we do. It's been pretty customary that no matter when you started playing, you'll need to use internet sources like the wiki to find out how to do a lot of things, since there's no real story or readings or anything given to the player. Which, maybe a decade of knowing that, and the fact that many other games of Minecraft's ilk do it as well, changes my outlook a fair bit, but I love this design. Yes, I agree a game with guidance included is a better all-in-one design package, but this mystery factor I feel adds a ton of value to the first-time playthrough of anyone willing to do the work with that handicap. I love thinking back to when I was playing Minecraft for the first time, seeing things like the nether portal in videos and hearing the wails of ghasts in this spooky-ass, ugly-ass dimension, and immediately wanted to go check it out myself. Making my first piston door with guides, trying people's custom challenge maps like Skyblock. There was a lot to do. Maybe that's the core reason why there's so much hype whenever we get a new perceived competitor to Minecraft. We just want something entirely new. Jumping to a new ship means you could find developers uncoupled with large companies who operate under the design philosophy you personally vibe with. I've not played these ones myself, but a friend vouches for Vintage Story, and I'm sure you've heard of this tiny game everyone's been on about. I just can't put my finger on the name, but I recall people really liking it. I choose to see these kinds of releases that pay homage, or restless spite in some cases if you're talking to the community, to Minecraft as the game's best cultural impact overall. Even as the narrative is woven that Minecraft is this fallen giant on its downswing due to Microsoft's hamstringing, to put it lightly, or Evil Jeb's wokeification about the creeper or whatever the fuck, people cherish those first-time experiences with the game so much. I think it's vital that people who have run their course with one game for such a long time spread their wings and find something that satisfies them now. And I hope the community can take those memories and fuel their futures with excitement, inspiration, and drive to do what started this all in the first place. Just someone making a new project and sharing it with people.